removing so many of the centralised targets that have caused that bureaucracy to grow. So our ambition is to make sure the people at the front line, the nurses, the doctors, the people involved in clinical care, that's where the priority is, instead of the endless increase in management that we've seen in recent years.
Bridget Phillipson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many of my constituents are employed by Nissan and in supply chain jobs. Could the Prime Minister confirm that the £20 million grant awarded to Nissan under the previous government in March will be honoured in order to develop the next generation of electric cars?
Can I welcome the Honourable Lady to her place and say I too have visited the Nissan plant near Sunderland, and it is an absolute wonder to see that incredible investment that's gone in there and the many jobs that have been created, not just at that plant but also in the supply chain. I want to see electric cars being developed. When I was at Nissan, we discussed that specifically. In terms of the grant, I don't have a specific answer for her. But it's a funny old thing, I'm going to give accurate answers rather than make them up on the spot. I'd be delighted to let her know about it via a letter as soon as possible. Thank you.
Neil Carmichael.
Mr. Speaker, noting the very high standards of professional care in Stroud and the NHS, can the Prime Minister lend his support to the Stroud maternity unit?
Thank you very much for that question. Can I welcome my honourable friend? No, I understand that this maternity unit was actually under threat under a previous administration, and I'm happy to say that with our plans, where the money in the NHS will follow the decisions that local people make with their doctors about where to be treated, I think we'll find that community hospitals across our country can once again breathe easily.
Mr. Nigel Dodds.
Can I associate my right honourable and honourable friends with the tributes to our fallen heroes in Afghanistan that was made earlier? We should always remember them. And in that spirit, can I ask the Prime Minister, right at the outset of a new Parliament and a new administration, to give a categorical assurance to our troops that they will always get the equipment and resources they need on operational duty, to those servicemen and women returning home that they will always get the help and advice they need to return to civilian life, and to our maimed and wounded that for however long it takes, despite all the budgetary pressures, that they will always get the care and compassion that they need and deserve for however long it takes.
Can I thank the honourable gentleman for his question? And I think the way that he put it in terms of both making sure we protect and help those at the front line with everything they need, in terms of looking after their families and in terms of helping those who are injured, that is what our focus should be. It is all of those things, and it is all through the lifetime of those people. Having visited some of the places like Headley Court, you can see the incredible work now being done. But what we have to realise as a country is not just getting the equipment to the front line, not just renewing the military covenant, so actually we are serving our armed services properly, but recognising these people who have been injured so badly in Iraq and Afghanistan, they are going to need a lifetime of help. And I don't think that the health service yet has fully woken up to the quite right, very high demands that these people will place on all the health services. And that's why I have a strong defence team and a strong health team who are going to work together to make sure we deliver for these people who've done so much for us.
Dr. Julian Lewis, number 10,
This is a question
Mr.
about
Speaker.
the military strategy in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan is my top priority. That is why we've set up a National Security Council and why it met on the first full day of the new government. In terms of the military strategy, we are 6 months into the troop surge ordered by President Obama. That surge is to provide a proper counterinsurgency campaign, protecting the people while tackling the insurgents. We back that strategy. We must give it time to work. There are some signs of progress, such as markets opening up again and better district governance. And as I said in the debate on the Queen's speech, we've got to support that military strategy with a political surge, of which the peace jirga being launched in Kabul today is an example. And I spoke to President Karzai about this yesterday and stressed to him the importance of working towards a political solution where everyone in Afghanistan feels the government of Afghanistan is a government for them.
Dr. Julian Lewis.
Is my right honourable friend aware of the concept of the sovereign base bridgehead area, which could meet our needs in Afghanistan for a fraction of the cost in life, limb and expenditure? And would he consider taking a briefing on this subject in the presence, if possible, of the Service Chiefs of Staff?
Well, I'm grateful to my honourable friend for asking that question. I know he has great expertise about this area. I have understood the idea of a bridgehead. I have to say to him, I think that while it is worth examining, I think there are difficulties with it, which is the current strategy of counterinsurgency is about trying to protect the public in Afghanistan from the insurgency and to enlarge the area of that country where normal life can continue. What is in our national interest? And that's what we should focus on, is an Afghanistan that is stable enough and secure enough for us to bring our troops home. That's what we want to achieve. I will listen to his ideas, but the strategy we have, we've got to give it time to work.
Mr Ian Davidson.
Comrade Premier, I'm surprised at the reaction. I mean, are we not all in this together? Are the vast majority of us, apart from only a small sect, in favour of strengthening the Union of the United Kingdom? And do the vast majority of us not dislike, distrust and despise the Liberal Democrats? Could I ask whether, in terms of safe bases, would you agree with me that there is no base safer than an aircraft carrier?
I apologise for having to interrupt the honourable gentleman. I was eagerly anticipating on this closed question an inquiry about Afghanistan, but sadly it wasn't forthcoming. Mr Philip Hollowbone.
What will my right honourable friend be doing to ensure that foreign nationals engaged in terrorist-related activity in this country will be deported back to their country of origin when their evil plots are detected?
I really am grateful to my honourable friend for raising this question. I think it is extremely important when there are people who threaten our country but who and are foreign nationals, but we don't have necessarily the evidence to prosecute them, it is essential we are able to deport them back to their country of origin. And what I've asked the Home Secretary to do, to work with the Foreign Secretary to draw up agreements with as many countries as possible so we are able to deport these people and keep our country safe. All diplomatic effort, including effort from myself as well, will be made sure to make this happen to keep our country safe.
Mr Gordon Marsden.
Mr Speaker, I heard what the Prime Minister had to say in respect of a previous question about the military covenant, and as chair of the all-party veterans group, I was relieved to see in the coalition's document a commitment to providing, as part of that, extra support for veteran mental health needs. But I was alarmed then to read that the £2 million that had been set aside by the previous government to support combat stress for mental health needs was under review by the present government. Does that mean, in fact, therefore, that the Prime Minister is able today to renew that commitment to combat stress, or is this a commitment that will fall at the first hurdle?
Well, first of all, let me congratulate him for the work he does in terms of veterans. It is extremely important, and I welcome what he does. What I can say to him is that we have, as I said, a very strong ministerial team at the Department of Health, very strong team at the Ministry of Defence, and I understand the huge pressure that is going to be put on our health services because of mental health stress on people who fought in combat. And we will do everything we can to help them. He has my word, that will happen. And it needs to happen not just this year that our troops are still in Afghanistan, but for all the years into the future. There are figures that suggest that actually more people committed suicide after the Falklands War than were actually killed in combat. So I take this extremely seriously, and he has my word that those services will be properly looked after.
Mr Philip Davis.
Speaker, I was greatly encouraged by the Prime Minister's response to my honourable friend for Kettering about deporting terrorist suspects, but would he not agree that the most effective way to get rid of these people is to scrap the Human Rights Act?
That was the Conservative Philip Davis.
My honourable friend, as so often, is going to tempt me. He knows very clearly, my view is very clear, that we'd be better off with a British Bill of Rights rather than the Human Rights Act, and that is being examined. But I have to say to him, enthusiastic though I myself am for that policy, actually what's really needed for urgent action is individual agreements with countries like Pakistan to get a guarantee that people we send back there will not be mistreated. Now, with countries like Pakistan, we should be able to achieve that. We are a major aid donor. We are a major partner. We should be able to encourage them to give us that guarantee so we don't have to keep foreign nationals in our country that threaten to do us harm.
Ian Mearns.
Mr Speaker, thank you very much.
The fifth to be called
I
this
welcome
session.
the Prime Minister's recognition of the progress made in the North East economy.
And in the economic context, they say that when the United States sneezes, the United Kingdom catches cold and the north-east of England gets pneumonia. In that context, I was very sad to learn at the weekend that the Regional Development Agency won